in the music, I'm not afraid of it. I enjoy it so much and everything that whatever gives me a tickle or makes me feel good, I can do. And the best part about that, hearing the music like that, it gives me the opportunity to love everybody. You know, I can love everybody because it makes me feel good. And that's the powerful thing. I don't have to love people because, well, you're supposed to love your mother, you're supposed to love your father, you're supposed to love your family and your aunts. Oh, and that's your neighbor Sue. You know, we've known her for 20 years. You're supposed to love her. I don't even know Sue. You know, but yeah, you don't have to love like that. That's how we do the love like that. That's the dance. That's the dance. Well, you're supposed to love your aunt and uncle. You know, why? You know? Yeah, if you're coming on a dance like that, see. But and like I say, I'm a little goofy, so I get to play the other way. I love everybody. I can love everybody. It's easy. I can do all that stuff simply because I can hear that music. I can hear that joy. I can feel that joy. I can see that joy. I can see it with a little smile from a little baby. I don't even like babies. But no, they're short. You trip over them a lot. But, you know, they're always under your feet. Yeah. But that's okay. But, you know, what's his name? I forget his name. I always forget his name, but he give me a tickle. He's my friend's baby and stuff like that. I see him in church. He's just a happy little baby. And his joy and happiness makes me laugh. And you know what else is funny? When I kind of, you know, hearing the music and the stuff like that, the sadness of music sometimes. You ever been in a room where there's a lot of kids, like from 3 years old down, and one baby starts crying? They all shut up and they turn their head towards that baby and they put on their sad faces. Like they're trying to reach out with their little faces and just grab that baby and give it a hug with their little faces and arms. It's amazing to see that. It's like, wow. You know, adults are like, oh, why don't that kid shut up? You know, he's disturbing all this kind of real surreal type of environment that we're trying to produce here. And the kids are just, they're in it, you know. They're in it. They're right there with that little baby that's crying, and they're doing everything in their power telepathically to try to send that message. I hear you. And I'm sure glad it's you and not me. When somebody changed that baby's diaper, you know, they know what's going on because they know the different crying sounds and stuff. So, but they're hearing that music. They're hearing that music right there, and they're reacting to that music in the dance that they know. And that dance is they get those sad little faces on and they just turn their attention towards that one crying baby. And then when the baby stops, they go back to do whatever it is they were doing before, all over the place. And yeah, they just automatically do, all done. You know, they might be saying, yeah, I took care of that situation. You know, so they move right back into someplace else. Yeah, that's hearing the music and dancing the dance. And again, you know, we at some point stop hearing the music and we stop dancing the dance. And some people actually, there's a lot of people as they grow older and everything, they really stop hearing the music. Because they don't think that they can dance any longer. Any kind of dance they'd be grateful for. They just don't think that they can dance any longer. And that's not true, older folks. You know, you can dance to the last breath in your life, you know. After that, you'll be getting new music and new dances. But I don't think we'll go all into that today. We'll go into that another time. But just as a you don't have to pet cats and pet dogs and sit around and try to say little cute things and stuff like that, and try to act like the way somebody would want older people to act. When you're older, you're supposed to act like this. No, so I'm 85 years old. You give me a boost, I'm going up this tree to get that apple, because that apple sure do look sweet, you know. You can still hear that music, you know, or you can get a ladder. But I get the boost. It'll be more fun, you know. It'll be more enjoyable to get a boost and climb that apple tree and get that apple, you know. That you'll love it. It'll be the sweetest tasted apple that you want. You'll be dancing the dance. You'll be dancing the dance of youth, the dance that you already know. Well, you take all those years to learn how to do that dance, and then when you get older, I can't do it. It's like, nah, climb that tree, get that boost, get that apple, you know. Don't give up on that apple. That apple's yours. And get another one for the person who gave you the boost. Maybe even throw down a whole bucket full and just be giving out all those apples to all those people that really just can't dance the dance anymore because they can't hear the music. They can't hear the music. Hey, I gotta pay the bills, you know, so I'm gonna go ahead and pay some of these bills, and then we're gonna come back here and we're gonna see how hearing the music really inspires a lot of people. All right. Well, we're back, folks, from paying the bills and stuff, so we can have maybe 2 minutes left. But if there's any people out there with businesses and you want your business talked about on this ArchAngel of the Chivalry or on Troop It in the AM, you can just contact us at 323-870-4069 or 323-870-4378. You know, tell us what you want, you know, and we can sit down and negotiate. That's something that Donald Trump really likes to do, is negotiate. He's a very great negotiator. Just ask him. He'll tell you all about it. Now, a little bit more on hearing the music, you know. Here's what happened too, that I see. And remember, this is just my own understanding of hearing the music. We've gone from an age of agricultural development, and we've gone from an age of industrial development. Now, you know, you got the agricultural development. It's very connected with nature because it's farming and herding and pasturing and all this stuff. So yeah, it's kind of linked with nature. It's right there on the forefront of nature. So you hear all these kind of natural surroundings and stuff. So you're in touch with that. So you're in touch with the creative thoughts of wow, how come birds can do that? Wow, how come antelopes can run real fast, and you know, and how come they trick you? You know, antelopes is tricky now, you know, because people back in the hunter-gatherer kind of stage and stuff, they used to hunt by running after the animals and try to catch them, you know. And what the antelope would do, the antelope would send out their little slow kind of trot to run, and you'd be running after, and you think you're going to run the animal into the ground and make him tired. But all of a sudden, the herd had stopped to do some grazing, and slowly this boy works his way around to the corner and stuff like this here. And then you see this other animal that's kind of laying in the back with his head down like he's exhausted. So you don't know any different because you don't speak antelope. They done switched antelopes on you, folks, but you didn't hear the music. So now you start chasing a fresh animal and you're exhausted, and all the antelopes live for another day. Unless they meet a lion. You know, they're a little faster. Well, that was just a little antelope story, but actually, see, that's how we were connected with nature. We were connected with all this stuff. You had to know that, you had to hear the music of an antelope to be able to dance the dance of survival. You know, you had to know that antelopes will switch up on you, and you'll think that you're chasing the same antelope, and actually it's a brand new fresh one, so you're not going to eat tonight. You know, so you had to learn their habits and their music so that you could lay traps for them. So and then farming and agriculture, you had to know the music of the soil. You had to know the music of the weather. You had to know all these kind of natural things. And this could be where everybody thought the Indians had some magical connection with everything. No, it was just, like I said, the dance is a dance of survival. And the music is the music that you hear. You know, and that you know, they took great pride in learning the seasons. They took great pride in learning how to plant, what to plant, where to plant it, you know, where the best nuts grew and things of that nature. And then we went to an industrial age. Now that music changed really hard, you know. It's just like the music I talked about in the second part. The music of a thump thump of a tire, the clang clang of a footprint. You got these heavy metal kind of machinery going, making all these other types of music and stuff. It's loud. It was loud and very, very, very boisterous and bombastic, and it was a great bunch of new music and stuff like that. But that was the dance that you were dancing to. But the other dance still existed too. The music of the nature, the music of inspiration, the music of creation. That's more of the agricultural music that everybody aspires to hear, even in the industrial age. They all want to have that creative thought, they call it. And that's all comes from hearing the music of the God-produced music, you know. That all comes from that. And now we're in the music of technology. We don't even have the clickety-click-click of the typewriter anymore. We got the silent music now. It's really silent. It's so silent that it's hard to hear for a lot of people. They just kind of vegetate into different little visual effects that don't do anything. And it's growing shorter and shorter. The music is slowly disappearing, and people are in a feeding frenzy to try to find the music again of the agricultural society. Yeah, they're working hard on that. The kids get the music of today. They understand the music of technology. I believe they can hear the hums of all the little mechanical devices inside these machines that are working. They probably can. But they can hear that music. They get inspired by that music. They move forward with that music. A lot of other people can't hear that music. The technology just becomes a tool, and they just follow the herd type mentality of that too. My wife made a point to me today, which I didn't even think about. You know, when everybody used to be doing what do you call that? Email. You know, people don't email anymore. Now they text. It's like it got shorter. I don't care, email, it take too long. Now they text. So it's like, what's next? They just got to have no, it might be they use those little round fellas. What do you call those? The emojis?
Well, emojis.
The emojis now. They don't even use words. Nope. They use a bunch of emojis to express their feelings. It's like, yeah, you're hearing the music, but now you can't put it to a dance. You can't let it out. You're just trying to hold it in and hope that there's some kind of symbolic emoji that can say what you really want to say in a couple of words, because you don't want to write an e-letter because it takes too long. You know, I mean, this is the world that we live in today. It's really a hard place to try to have any creative thought, any kind of let epiphanies run all over you, and they're out there all the time. People get, like I say, get inspired when you wake up in the morning. One of the major parts of waking up is inspiration. You're awake. I'm alive. You know, you're getting up and you're feeling good about yourself. But now you get up and you feel good about that you plugged your cell phone in and the battery wasn't there, so I'm right back in the game right now. You know, you're right there. Yeah, that's a good feeling for some people. You know, they get in there, they can get all their little. That's probably why the texts are so good, because they come on the cell phone. So they get all their little cell phone texts. That's all personal, and they're hearing all this joy and everything from somebody else saying good morning to them, and everybody's back and forth. And it has a purpose, I guess. That's a purpose. If that's the dance that we dance, then that's the music that we hear. Yeah, but then you go down and you turn on the computer and you hit another button and wait for that button to make a dinging sound so you know that the water's ready, and then you hit another button to make sure that the bacon and eggs are ready, because you don't even have to cook them anymore. They come in these little wrapped up packages and you put them in the microwave and you push the button and they almost come out by themselves, and and it's all good, you know. This is all good. That's our dance of today. This is the modern age dance. And but there's inspirations there, you know. You could turn that computer on, and all of a sudden you might have gazed over at something on your way to get your bacon and eggs out of the 30-second timer of the microwave, and you noticed on the wall that, oh, what's that? You know, and then all of a sudden, you're thinking about what that was on the wall. That's dirt. How'd that get there? you didn't know anything about that. So now, there must be an easier way to get that off of this. Now you got your creative juices going and everything with your bacon and eggs, and you poured your coffee, and you go back to the computer and you look up the removal of dirt, you know, and then you find out an easy way to get grease and grime off your kitchen wall, and then the next thing you know, you're a millionaire and you hire a maid, you know, to go in there and clean your kitchen wall. See, so there's some good that can come out of hearing that music of technology. It can make you rich if you think like that. But everybody, the bad part about that new technological thinking is it doesn't work for adults. It works for kids, because kids still have that natural creative link to nature. Just like the baby, you know, they still have this link that hasn't been squashed yet by society's norms that you have to act in a certain way and do a certain thing, even if you don't understand what you're doing. Like with the technology, who understands all this technology? I got buttons on this. I don't know what these buttons are for. Like, what is this for? You know? I know how to say hello. When it rings, sometimes it rings, and I push this little button down here, folks. I push that button right there, and then it comes up, and then a little phone appears, and then I push that, and then I push the red button. Look at all that buttons I gotta push. I used to pick the receiver up. Hello. Now I gotta push all the buttons and everything just to say hello. They should put a little receiver on there, so I can see. We could have little iPhones with little receivers, and nobody wants those. They're too old-fashioned. But anyway, you know, but for the older people and stuff, they make older phones that don't have all the other buttons on them and stuff like that to confuse them. All you do is you just flip it and say hello, and then somebody on the other end says hello right back at you. So, you know, they got those for the people, but they don't need that. Some older people, you can really get all involved in the computer age and the computer sciences and everything. We do live in an amazing age, and there's an amazing amount of music that's out there being played right now, and this music is filling up in everything. A lot of it's a death toll. You know, a lot of it's a lot of bells for who they're going to toll. I don't know who those bells are going to toll for, but a lot of people are just walking hearing the music of death, and they don't have to. You know, they don't have to. Death is something that's inevitable. Everybody's going to experience it at least once. You know, some people might experience it several times. I don't know. Hopefully, everybody experiences it several times, or none at all. You know?
None at all is better.
None at all is better. None at all is better. Yeah, none at all is better if you're hearing the music. Mm-hmm. If you hear the music and you're dancing your dance to life, then none at all is better. But if you're not hearing the music and you don't have a dance, I'm sure that, you know, you don't want to be hearing the death bell several times. You want to get it in. Give it to me. I'm waiting on it. I want it. You know, I'm out of here. I can't handle this stuff. I don't hear the music anymore. And that's real sad, because there's no reason to not hear the music. You know, it's always there. It's always being played, and it's always your song, and it's always your dance, and that's all. I'm going to continue to hear the music all my days. I'm not ever not going to not hear the music. You know, I might have to get a boost one day up that apple tree to get that apple, but you know, that apple, I'm gonna still get that apple. That's my apple. I'm gonna get that apple. You know, I'm gonna be inspired by little babies, and I'm gonna be tickled pink by the way male birds have to do all the work while the little babies and stuff make all the noise, and they'll be, oh, the birds sound so lovely this morning. Yeah, they do if you're not the male bird. That poor boy's exhausted. He can't sing. He's just going about doing all the work, you know. But and I'm going to hear that music. I'm going to hear the inspirational music that inspired me for ArchAngel of Return to Chivalry. And I'm going to live that chivalrous life all the time. And I'm going to love everybody that's out there. And I'm going to hear the music of love coming back at me from everybody that I meet. They don't even know me and they love me. Because I love them, you know. And if they don't love me, I don't know that. I don't know. So I can hear the music that you know, that's just the way it is. You know, it makes me feel good, makes me dance too. I got happy dances. I don't have a sad dance. I don't have a sad dance because you can't have a sad dance with hearing the music. You know, there's no sad dances out there. I'd like to learn how to tango, but I'm sure that's a happy dance. You know, I dance, I sing in the house, I laugh, I hug people. You know, I give myself to people in any way I can, and it's all purely me hearing the music, and that's the dance that God told me to dance. And that's the dance that I'm going to continue to dance. And sometimes I feel like I'm such a selfish individual. Just, I got so much of a privilege by everybody that I know, even if I don't know them and they don't know me, that of love. And it just makes me feel good. And I try to give it back to everybody I want, everybody I meet. And that's the music of life that I walk in. And the music that you dance to is the music that you dance to, and you can create the song. You don't have to dance to one song either, folks. You can make albums, and you know you can make many songs throughout your life, and you can change the beat. You know, you can slow it down. You can make it fast. You can anything you want to, as long as in hearing that music and just let it in. And then let it out. Let it once it comes in, and then give it back on all the people. You know, it's kind of like goes to a little vortex, and then boom, it just expands out there like a big flash, and just give it right back out to all the people like that. You know. Well, I'm Trooper Joe, and I hope we had some fun today, because I was trying to make this fun on hearing the music. You know, I was trying to make it fun, and I hope everybody at least comes away with the mannerisms of a baby. You know, if you hear somebody sad and crying, put on your little face and everything and throw your arms around them and make them feel good, because then you can be like the baby and go right back to doing whatever it is that you were doing, you know, because you would have taken care of that situation. You would have made somebody feel good. You would have given the love, and you would have got all the privilege from it. All right, I'm Trooper Joe, and I want to tell everybody to have fun. All right, well, I'm gone. All right.